Greetings, 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 and welcome to Tea with the Queens, where we transform, we empower, and we acquire those new skills to be the best that we can be. So I'm excited about this, and I'm excited about our guest, and we're going to just jump in and start this new year off right. And the first thing that we want to do in the new year is to prepare ourselves. So this is an opportunity for us to prepare ourselves to get ready for the new year. So, in talking about the new year and preparing ourselves, we're going to talk about declutter. So, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest today, and I'm going to read just a snippet of her bio, and I'm just going to bring her in, and we're just going to have some fun. We're going to do this, and we're just going to get ready to have tea with the queens. Okay. So, I'm going to be bringing Derria Murphy. Let me read a little bit about her. Derria Murphy is the founder and host of the Declutter Empress radio show. Podcast, rather. Not show, but podcast. It could be either one, but podcast. A lifestyle podcast featuring snippets on how to live a clutter-free life. And we don't understand, sometimes clutter can hinder our progress, can hinder our mindset, can hinder us from moving on to the next level. So when we focus on decluttering, we're actually freeing up ourselves in our spirit, our mind, our being, our surroundings to go into the next level. Okay. She is a strong believer in self-care and encourages anyone to live a joyful and clutter-free lifestyle on purpose. So never be afraid to get rid of stuff and never be afraid to move on, because we want to do this on purpose. Decluttering is a joyful experience. Each episode features actionable daily items for the journey to create what she likes to call an Oasis space. So, with reading that little bit about her, and I'm going to have a bio available as well, I want to bring on our guest, Ms. Derria Murphy. She is the Declutter Empress.
Millicent, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to
Thank
be
you.
here.
I'm excited to have you. Tea with the Queens is about transforming, empowering, and acquiring those new skills so we can take things to the next level. Let's have our tea.
Yes, let's do this. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Well, the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to get off into who is Derria.
Well, I am a Midwest girl. I am born and raised here in the Midwest in the US. And in 2018, I started the Declutter Empress radio podcast. And I am a declutterer, a naturally organized person. And I, since a kid, was always about having an organized space. I mean, you would look at my room and it was nothing on the floor. Books were lined up on the shelves and everything was in its place, from Barbies to books, toys, and everything. Bed was always made, all that good stuff. And so I always loved to share how I was organizing my space since I was a child. And my podcasting days started when I said in 2018, let me just go and talk about this because I know there's a community out there that needs this, and I love to talk about it. And it was after having a long commute to the city. I worked outside. My working commute was about 45 minutes, and I said, I have to have some way to continue to be decluttered. And being a naturally organized person definitely helped me in that journey. So I said, how can I help others do this with short, actionable tips that can be applied wherever a person roams, whether it's in their office, whether it's at home, in their car, wherever it is. I like to create what I like to refer to as an oasis space, a peaceful space.
That is so important. And when you was talking about when you was a child and how neat you were, I was the opposite. And I really kind of carried that off into college. So I had, a roommate. She was very, very neat. I had stuff everywhere. And, I just remember, just growing up, just sometimes just feeling overwhelmed. And when I was in school, feeling overwhelmed, not really understanding what that meant. And when I got older and I started to really just want things around me to just be beautiful and peaceful, and I started to learn how to put things in its place, then I noticed that I'm like, okay, my life has changed. What I did was I changed my surroundings.
Yes.
And that is a very true statement. I mean, yeah, yeah, I would say you're a very organized person, very precise, and that's what make Derria Derria. But that's a blessing. But I can really tell because you have that quality about yourself, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that about you. You've always been, and I think it makes you jovial. You're a very jovial, fun person. But you got to be able to be in a place of expression, and that oasis means a whole lot. That's the foundation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And yeah, Millicent, since our college days, it's like
Yes, college
it's
days,
like
we know each other.
yes, we know each other well. So yeah, I mean, like you say, and the different spaces, it's important. I mean, I like to say to ask the question, how do you want to feel when you
Yes,
walk into your space? Because there's so many things externally that we don't have control over,
right.
but we do have control over the things inside of our homes. So it's like once you come home for work or dropping off the kids or and you close that door to your house, do you want to feel energized? Do you want to feel rejuvenated? Do you want
Yes,
to feel at peace? And if you have a bunch of clutter just lying around, that takes a toll on your mind.
it does.
And like it for you wrote a book called Mind over
Over
Matter.
matter, yes.
That's so important because that definitely relates to decluttering
Yes.
and making up in one's mind, you know what? I need to see how I can get started in removing anything that no longer serves me well, getting rid of anything that I have not used in over, even if it's, most people would say 5 years. I say, if you haven't used it in 2 or 3 years,
Get rid
are
of
you
it.
really going to use it?
Exactly.
Get rid of it.
I'm going through that now. I'm a person. I mean, I have stuff back from high school, letters that friends wrote, and I mean, just all kinds of things. So I always say, "Oh, I'm gonna share this with my, children or my grandchildren." They can care
They
less.
don't want it.
They don't want that. They can care less. So it's like, okay, what are you holding on to it for? And I don't even look.
Exactly.
So I got 2 bags of teddy bears downstairs in my basement closet that I didn't have for years. What am I gonna do with those teddy bears? I don't even have little girls around me anymore. I have 2 grandsons and,
Uh-huh.
and, and a grown daughter with a husband. Nobody wants those teddy bears, and they're very good. So I can donate them because somebody could benefit from them, not me. So,
Absolutely.
yes.
For
So
sure.
yeah.
For
So
sure. For sure. Because you're
so
talking about sentimental stuff, and there's nothing
mhm.
wrong with and I that's one of the topics that I talk about too is there's nothing wrong with having sentimental things
No, it's not.
because I always like to say, listen, t- keep one box of stuff, like one
Yeah.
tote of things, if anything. And if you want to keep one teddy bear or those teddy bears, if you want to keep it in a tote to say, I connect this stuffed animal or whatever the object is to a memory that makes me feel good. It
You're right.
reminds me of home. It reminds me of this. But if it's something that it's like you said, passing down to your grandchildren, and it's like, yeah, I don't,
You're
they
right.
don't want it either.
You're right. And I had to learn that the hard way, because when I was growing up, we were taught to have, heirlooms and things that you pass on. Was it heirlooms? Things you would
Yeah,
pass on to your family down the line. And
sure.
so those were the things I'm like, I was interested. So I'm thinking that others would be interested. But
Hmm.
it ends up being is a hindrance,
Yeah,
something that I really don't want, no one wants to really admit. Those things are a hindrance
they
because a
are.
lot of things are attached to those things, some good, some bad. And we
Hmm.
don't even realize that until our surroundings and our space is affected.
Yes.
So, this is very, very, very important. But I was thinking, when you speak about decluttering, why and when, I mean, I know that we talked about how you were as a child, how, precise you were. Why is this important to you now? Why is it important to you now?
Oh my gosh, it keeps me focused
Yes.
because I am one that my mind will be on 50 different things at any given time. And I am a heavy user of the Pomodoro method, which is, if people aren't familiar, it's a method, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. It's where you work for 25 minutes and you may take a 5-minute break, however many minutes. And it's so important to get stuff done. And it prevents me from procrastinating
Yes.
on a lot of stuff because even before I started this podcast, for years, podcasts have been around before 2018, way before then.
Yes.
But I was like, oh, I'll get to it, I'll do it. And sometimes it's like other things in life come into play, and you're like, all right, putting it off, putting it off. But now that decluttering helps me because I can focus on what really matters to me instead of
Yes.
having so many things cluttering up my mind. For example, I still love books. I love turning the pages of books. Yes, we have Kindles, our iPads, and all of that. I use it, but I love a book.
Yeah.
I love the written word and I love the library. So get your library card. There's lots of free resources, and I advocate for that.
And that's the thing. I wish that this newer generation could understand what a library card is, and going in and having to really go into the index to find your book and write down the code and number and then go to the
Exactly.
aisle and do all the hard work. Makes you appreciate it,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah.
yeah, and I think the newer generation, they are embracing that too. I really do think that they are embracing that
Oh yeah.
because not only does it save the environment, but also you're saving your dollars too. Now with books, I got rid of a lot of books. I mean,
Oh,
I am one that will, and I donated them to the library, and then some I gave to other people. I like, do you want? Would you like this? Are you going to read it? If not, you're no offense. You don't have to take it because I don't believe in putting off stuff
yes,
on
things.
others. That saying, it is true. One person's trash is another person's treasure. Sure,
Yeah.
sometimes, but I said, okay, I looked at my bookshelf and I said, am I really reading all of this? Because I had books stacked in the corner. They were nice, they were out of the way, and they were like decorative. So I would put like a vase of green, like little flowers on there, like carnations and stuff. It looked cute, but I just got tired of looking at it. And I said, okay, when was the last time I read any of this?
Right.
If it's something that I know that I read every year, like on my bookshelf now, I have like one bookshelf that's in my living room, and then I have another one, a short bookshelf. And I went through my books and I said, okay, is this something that first I can access online? Can I access this online? Yes, from the library. How often do will I read this book? Or when was the last time I read it?
Yeah.
Like never. I couldn't even remember. So I said, let's give this away. Let's get rid of it.
So
Donate
it
it,
is,
do something with it.
and
Yes,
it's holding up space.
it's holding up space. And
Okay.
so I was able to make room on my bookshelf for flowers, for plants,
Yeah.
for my little harmonica that I still haven't learned to play yet, but brought it
Those
over.
are the important things. Those are the important things, right?
It looks real nice on the shelf, aspirational.
That's what matters. You know what?
Yeah.
And the thing is that what I appreciate too is that a Oasis is yours. So you
Hmm.
can create it however you want. Now, the declutter is a basic fact. Decluttering is just a necessity.
Yes.
You got to free up your surround. You got to free up your space. You got to free yourself. What you choose to keep and to, adorn yourself around is up to you. So that's the
Exactly.
beautiful thing about it is that if it's a flower, if it's a harmonica, if it's a violin, or if it's
Right.
a piano, or if it's stuffed animals, or what I'm saying, figurines,
Stuff
whatever it
that
is.
makes you feel good.
Now that is you have created your oasis. So
Yes,
that's the beauty in it. So
yes,
not only is it important to declutter, now it's important to make sure that your oasis reflect what you want to embrace, and what you want your mood to reflect. So
absolutely.
that's a good point there.
Absolutely.
That's a real
Yes.
good point, man.
Mood
I
is every
mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
mood is everything.
You know what, and that's another thing I was just about to ask. And we're talking about it already, but I was talking about just how the declutter affects your mood and your mindset. How does it?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we're in a position where we always talking, and you hear this all the time: your mindset, your
Yes.
mood. Which I think it's kind of a term that's kind of thrown around and not really taken seriously.
Yeah.
Because so many people use it, but your
Mhm.
mindset and your mood, how does decluttering affect that? Because the reason why is we want to, the whole purpose of this, podcast, this whole program is to transform and empower. So we want them to, look, okay, we're not just coming on here and just talking about, oh, let's declutter. We really, really want to impart in you what this really means. So how
Right.
does it affect your mood and your mindset? We know that it makes us feel better, but especially for our entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Now, you got to pay attention to this next part if you don't pay attention to anything else. So, Derria, take it away. Let us know.
I'm gonna tell you,
Okay.
listen, for how decluttering affects your mindset. I mean, and I love a very well mind article. I often will quote like Psychology Today articles and very well mind articles on my podcast, because it is so important to know why we do the things that we do. And one of the things it does is that it will decrease the levels of stress.
Mhm.
It will decrease those levels of stress. And I am not a mental health expert, but I will quote an article in a minute. So this one comes from Very Well Mind, where it will help you to lessen the stress. It will help you lessen the stress because as an entrepreneur, especially, not only a 9 to 5, but especially as an entrepreneur. And if you're an entrepreneur that still has a 9 to 5,
Oh gosh, yes.
you really have to make sure that your space, your office, your home,
Mhm.
if you have kids, how do you want your setup to be? When you walk into your home, do you have a place where you rest your keys? Or are you scrambling in the morning?
Right.
Because I can tell you, I don't like to scramble. And that really messes up your mood as you're on your way out the door. So it's like, okay, stress, that can have a heavy impact because then you're feeling overwhelmed. As an entrepreneur, you have, you're not only, I think about the podcast as you're not only a producer, you're the content creator, you're
Yes.
the writer,
Yes.
you're the host, you're the marketer. And so it's like you have two ways to deal with this. Either see where you can outsource if you have the funds, or see right now, I don't have the budget, but how can I best control my space? My desk or my office, is it full of files? Are my files piled up to the sky? Do I have digital clutter
Yeah.
on my
And then not to cut you off, but
No,
one
you're
thing
fine.
I thought about when you were talking that came to mind was about decluttering your time.
Mhm. Mhm. Decluttering your time.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times when I'm, in the thick of everything, working in my desk, a lot of things are just kind of all over the place. And it takes time
Uh-oh.
to do it. It
Yes.
takes away the time for me to clear out. By the
Yes.
time I put things in place and clearing out, I'm lost, that energy and mojo, whatever. I didn't, get sidetracked.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% perfect, but
Mhm.
it's so important. I mean, I was, even in college, I always had the mindset, oh, I'm a procrastinator because it gives me fuel, but it's
Yes.
stressful. I might have done some good work with doing that, but it's very stressful. Um, your
Very
time
small.
is very important. I have and it's yeah, I it's very important. Your time, and a lot of times we think, oh well, let me just do this, let me just do that, let me get a calendar. It's so much more in depth than that. It's things you don't even consider. So when you were
Mhm.
talking, the first thing I thought about, I'm like, oh my goodness, time. How much
Time.
our time is cluttered with stuff, and how
Yeah,
important it is to that's part of it. Those are the things that
absolutely.
don't want to really talk about, but it's very important because everybody don't want it's my time. Well, if you want to sit here and have to have an inspiration to do something, but yeah, you got to clean off and clear up some stuff. That's on you.
Absolutely. Exactly, because you waste time. I
Yeah.
tell you, you can waste so much time looking for stuff instead of getting right down to the thing that you need to do, that
Yeah.
project. Instead, you're thinking about, "Oh my gosh, where did I put that file on my computer? Where did I put where's that notebook? Where is
Yeah.
that?" Spending so much time, you can alleviate the pain of going through that with
Mhm.
setting up a system. And I
Yeah.
believe in setting up systems, especially as an entrepreneur, especially in the area of decluttering. Are there any hard and fast rules? Of course not, because everyone has a different set of circumstances.
Right.
And but I definitely believe in having a system in place. If you find yourself always, like you said, spending time looking for stuff, you could spend, I mean, you could spend 30 minutes and that to an hour just looking for things. And it's like, okay, how about how about I set up if it's like you're working on this project, well, how about it's like until that project, put that project that you're working on your desktop or where whatever drive you decide to put it on that you're working on so that you can have a quick shortcut to get to it. And then the moment you're done with that project, then file it away, archive
Yes.
it. So it's no longer there in your face. That's
Exactly.
the system. If you have, if you know that you need to leave out at a certain time in the day, work backwards to say, okay,
And
hey,
that's a good one.
work backwards.
A good one.
Because you've got if you're not working from home or anything, and it could even if you're working from home, still work backwards to get to that Zoom meeting or work backwards to get whatever you need to do. But if you need to go outside, if you need to say, okay, how long is it going to take me to get from my destination to from my destination backwards to home, driving in traffic, count for that. Okay, you've already parked your car at home. Now how long is it going to take you to get from your garage or your street parking to your door?
Yeah.
Every moment counts.
But you know
That's
what? And
the
the thing is that when you start to do that, before you know it, it's second nature. You don't even think
yeah,
about it. Now
you
you
don't
have
even
a
think about it.
thing.
Yeah, it's
It's,
second nature. Just like decluttering, like I know that there are seasons of cleaning, major cleanup that people do. Spring cleaning, that's how spring
yeah,
cleaning, we've got that.
spring cleaning. You know, yeah, that's when we get our motivation for.
Absolutely. Yes. The birds are chirping, it's balmy outside, the sky is blue, everything. So it's like, okay, y'all, we get ready to spring clean. Let's see what we can throw out. Well, when you have a habit, when you have a system in place and you are already decluttering throughout the year, it won't be as overwhelming of a task because you do have a system in place. So it's like once you get into the habit, like with anything else, like you said, it becomes second nature to you. You don't even know you're doing it. That's when you can say, okay, you know what? Am I really using all of these kitchen gadgets here in this drawer that's just accumulating? Because I love a gadget. I used to love a gadget, and I'm not a cook at
And I got
all.
a lot of stuff. I have a lot of gadgets.
You got a lot of gadgets. It's time to go ruffling through that with look, grab your tea, Millicent, grab that tea and start going to just going through the drawer.
So that's what I'm gonna do. So, do you have any parting, um, I guess, nuggets you want to drop us?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna say to be tender with yourself, be surround yourself with things that bring you happiness, that bring you joy, that bring you peace. Think about how you want to feel when you're in your space because a lot of times decluttering isn't about because we also go into minimalism, which is a total mindset because I do consider myself a minimalist. Minimalist is like a value mindset. It's like, but decluttering is like carrying out that
Yeah.
value. So my minimalism is not everyone else's minimalism and vice versa because I love to have bare walls. Not totally. What I would say is I like to interchange my pictures and everything. So
Mhm.
I don't want to see a lot of holes, and I like to be able to insert and take out. And so, but someone else, like you may love decor around you. You may love that, and that is fine. It's all about what is, ask yourself the question, is there anything overwhelming you
Right.
as far as your physical space or even on your, it's with technology? Because so many times we can have so many apps, so many email newsletters, and this is like, it's a whole bunch of stuff that are
Mhm.
just cluttering up our minds. But the whole thing, the one major nugget I want to drop is to keep in mind, how do you want to feel in whatever space you are in?
Yeah.
Create your oasis space, create
Yeah.
your peace.
And that can be, and that since it's, January, beginning of the year, that's gonna be the focus, your Oasis space, what do you
Yes.
want for January? I mean, what do you want your 2024 to look like?
Mhm.
It's God grant us the opportunity to be here well and safe and to be able to enjoy, you know, our space. How do we want that space to look like? How do we want our oasis, to, be? So
Yes.
that's the empowering part of it. And that's let's, take these skills that we've learned today. And I've learned a lot. And that's,
Yeah.
use that. Let's start the year off, clear and clean.
Clear
Let's do
and
that. I mean, it's nothing like that airy, fresh feeling you in your space, and it's just something about that clear, clean feel. Just feeling like, you know, I
clean.
mean, I mean, as a counselor, I was working. I
Yes.
normally would, be around a lot of people that I would go sometimes into their space, and I would leave depressed a little. Not, I'm gonna say like it was depression, but just the feeling of being depressed.
Yes.
When I left there because the environment was very depressing, and I said, no wonder some of these people feel the way they feel because look at their environment. We don't realize that. So
The
that's
energy.
that, and so, those who are listening to this, podcast, remember this year of your Oasis is up to you. And you have the power. And Ms. Derria, the Declutter Empress, have just gave us those things, those nuggets, those things to live by. So what I want to know now is how can they follow you, and how can they get more of you, or in any capacity? What we need to know.
Absolutely. I want to say first, thank you so much, Mill, for only I call her Mill. So my Mill is what I call her. I want to thank you so much for inviting me to have tea. I love a tea party.
Yes, our
Thank
tea
you
time.
so much. Yes, yes. But
Our tea
yeah,
time.
please join me on Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I'm on all of your podcast faves. You can find me and also connect with me at on Twitter at DRadiopod. That's DERADIOPOD. You can catch me tweeting there every now and again, but the podcast for sure. So feel free to reach out. I would love to hear from you and see how these actionable tips have impacted your day to day. I hope they're helpful. I'm so
And
excited
what
to
I
be
do, and I make sure that I put all that information as well, so that others can have that information to be able to reach out to you and to to work and build. That's what we do here. We're here to build, and we're here to empower. We're here to network. We're here to get some things
wow.
done. This is the
Absolutely.
year. This is the year of revelation, and this is the year of this is the year of the Oasis. I like that.
Because I love rest. I love rest and peace. I embrace
Yeah.
it.
But
Wherever you go, wherever you go.
I like that. But I want to thank you, Miss Derria, my girl. This has been amazing. This is my sis. This is, I can't describe the relationship, but it's special, and that's all I can say. It's beyond friendship, but very very proud of you, and I look forward to connecting with you throughout the year. I mean, I guess I just know that some great things are going to happen, and I'm always connected to my people. So
Yes, yes. And I can't wait to listen to more of the podcast and hear your guests,
right.
hear more. I'm so excited.
So, okay, well, I love you,
I
and
love you.
thank you for just sharing with me, and starting this year off with this first episode.
Oh my
So,
God. This is
I'm sure
amazing.
that throughout the year we're going to probably connect again because there's going to be some things
For
we're going
sure.
to know and learn. Not only so, like you said, not only here, but also the information as far as the the Declutter Empress Radio. So we're gonna make
Yeah.
sure that you all can find that and you all can follow. And like I say, it doesn't take any money or any
No.
blood, sweat, tears to listen and to learn. Take
Mhm.
advantage of this. Take advantage of this particular time and its opportunity of growth for all of us. So on that note, I guess we're gonna end it on out, and we're going to hey, see what the end is going to be.
Be
I want to say,
beautiful.
let's see what the Oasis is going to be. What is the Oasis going to look like? And if we got Oasis, how much better can it be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For
Well,
you
I got
and everyone.
I got a vision. Okay, Miss Daria. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.